Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we have a very interesting topic, which is enterprise Jira migration. We are going to discuss a lot, including how to migrate to Jira without disruption, risk, and downtime. A quick intro from our side. I am Bhumi from Observe, and I'm joined by Francisco Calvo. He's Alliances and Channels Director at Nomad Mode. I am also joined by Sandeep Jain. He is CEO of Observe and also co-founder. Let me give you a quick overview of Observe, high level. At its core, it is Observe Intelligent Federation platform. Observe platform helps enterprises in three areas. The first is modernize your tool. You can migrate, modernize from legacy or homogeneous to the newer tool, modern tool, without any disruption and downtime and risk. There are few options available, few offerings are available, uh, like Observe Migration Manager, which supports a 70 plus system. For migration case, you can migrate from any system to any system. Likewise, the second offering, that is a homogeneous migration offering. You can migrate any combination between Azure DevOps services and server, and the last one is the archival. We will talk about on today's session more on Observe Migration Manager and archival. Second is connect your tools. You can connect your systems across 70 plus systems seamlessly. And the last is you can gain the better visibility into connected data. So agenda for today's session is we are going to cover three things at high level. The first is why migration gets complex. What are the challenges organizations face during the migration? Likewise, change management, which is the core, and when it comes to large migration, when we migrate millions of items and thousands of teams. Second, how to turn migration into opportunity. We will talk about the modernization, not just the migration. Last piece is how to execute successfully. We will share the migration approaches, how you can reduce the risk, downtime, and the disruption. If you are planning to migrate from Jira DC to Jira Cloud, or if you're planning to consolidate your Jira Cloud instances, or if you're planning to migrate from legacy to Jira, this session will be helpful for you and your migration journey. Yeah, we have a lot of things to share. With that, let's get started. Over to you, Francisco.
Yes. Just a few, couple of minutes so you know what is Nomad Mood. Some figures and our presence all over the world, mainly in Europe and in America. We are a listed company in market in Madrid stock market, and yeah, you see the size we have. We like to see ourselves like a multi-specialist company, so we do have some specializations, maybe many, but one of them is Atlassian, so that's why probably we are here with our partner of SAP talking about this the well the challenges of modernize or migrate platforms where you are having your business running, your workflows like Atlassian, and doing that with without delays, without errors. No? So that's what we are going to tackle. No? Just so you understand, we are one of the main partners of Atlassian in the world. Even if base is mainly in Europe, that's the size of the team we have there. And then it's not only Atlassian what we do, we work with other platforms and in some cases other competitor platforms like GitLab or GitHub. So it says we are really used to have our customers moving from one to the other, depending or complementing one with the other, or moving for some different solutions or to really build a full and complete platform. That's why we have this. All the portfolio is really wide, and the way we engage with the customer is as well. Probably any model you have in mind, we can meet that. Okay, so what are the challenges? The migration when we are talking about big migration, migration with big scale. In the case we are talking about millions of records, millions of assets, hundreds or thousands of users, teams, global teams which are distributed in different locations, different countries, different languages, multiple workflows, most of them really customized and some of them even different from one place to another one with different and custom entities, custom fields. These kind of things is something that it's once you start using the product, the platform is so flexible that you really get to use it and you really get to do a lot of customizations. And then you start using as well them for mission critical operations. So that's something that you need to have in mind when you say, okay, we can stop Jira platform for a day, and you probably will find that you are not able to do that even on the weekend. No? So, and that another thing that is important in these cases is compliance. So many of the processes where you are getting your documentation and you are getting traceability of what you are doing are mandates by the regulatory and compliance of your company. And then something that you have to take into account when you are migrating. You cannot lose that. You cannot lose the traceability of the information. So the challenge are you cannot do that when you are talking about thousands of users or workflows or information over the night. You cannot do it without taking into account the resistance of the users to the change, which means doing it progressively. Usually it's better than do it from one day to the other one. And you have to take into account as well that the data schema where you are really keeping your information probably is not the same or cannot be exactly the same you had before in the new platform. Even if you are moving from data center to cloud and in the Atlassian environment, you will have to change many things. So that's it. In operational critical, you don't have margin for error. Next, please. So the challenge, the main challenge, because we have many in this kind of projects, data loss. That's clear. You start migrating and you lost, or you just have to take out, or you just have to archive many of your history of record because you are not able to move that to the new platform. User adoption management, once you're talking about hundreds or thousands of users, how you move them, how do you retrain them to use the new platform. Data transformation, that's important as well because the data schema is usually different. In the case for Atlassian, is very different. We had to take some decisions about the different kind of fields, information you have in the source and how to transfer it to the new one. Sometimes you don't need the information. Sometimes you need to split it and then you have to make some transformation. Many different roads there. Downtime and disruption, so you cannot it has to work. No? Once you start migrating, even if you are doing by steps, you cannot allow to have this downtime, no, and stop the service. We have already talked about the compliance risk. Okay, so next please, Bobby. Okay, and that's the other thing important is that you should take the time to really review what you have, because if you just migrate, you probably are going to migrate a lot of things that you don't want it in the to be scenario, no, in the new platform. So you better take the time to eliminate what is not needed, the dormant projects, to eliminate redundant workflows or different versions, because that's something that happens. So you have, I keep 3 versions on the same workflow because there's always some reason which is sensible over the time, but it's not sensible to migrate. You have to take decisions and just select one and do it right. And of course, you don't need to move all the data you have in your system. You should be smart about what do you need to move and what you can leave behind. Okay, migration is the moment to fix. You have to try to avoid get the garbage in, so you don't have it when you arrive to the platform destination. Next, please. So we are talking about Atlassian, but we are talking probably here. It's some common concerns. You have to start asking about what to abandon, what do you need, and what do you need not to move. Because once you're trying to move from legacy project to the new ones, there are some things that you don't need. Okay, so that's the first question there. What to rationalize? We're talking about replication in workflows, some fields that are, I don't know your case, but I know many cases where we have even the same names, or we are just changing the names because you add an S or you are an 1 or 2 or 3, because you're talking the same information in different conflict, with some conflict in different workflows. And that means that you need really to work a little bit on your source platform before moving there. And what is really needed to modernize. So sometimes this is a moment to really change, include some new way of doing things now that you have the opportunity. And the new platform, usually you are moving because you have some features that you were not able to use in the one you have now. So in the case of Atlassian, it's clear all the AI, generative AI robot, for instance, is something that is working only in cloud. So if you want to start using AI inside your platform, you need to move to cloud. Even if you don't want to change, you will have to, because Atlassian has discontinued the data center, except for very big customer in very specific situations next year. So you have 1 year to change. Okay, so what do you have to do? You have to modernize, review the workflows, the templates, the fields, the projects. No? How are you organized? Which kind of departments, user roles, all these kind of things are this moment to really review them and start working with them. Next one. Because now I think, thanks. This is the way we work. We have we started with migrating Atlassian server solutions, and then the small ones, let's say. So after we have only alive the data center options, and so we have a really well-run traditional way of migrating, which is this one. You start with an assessment. You have some accelerator. I will name a little bit in this assessment, because some shops are so big that you really need technology just to do the assessment. It's not something that you just go reviewing yourself or doing interviews with. You need technology to review the situation where you are starting for. Then you have to analyze what you find, all the problems, or all the needs, all the data you have to take out, all the workflows you have to review. After this analysis, you need to start coding the change. Many times you forget that you have in your Atlassian platform many add-ons. You have applications from Script Runner or whatever, for a Fire, from Tempo, for many other providers who are really enriching all the platform. So all those need to be migrated as well, and each one has its own solution for that. And then when you have done all the coding and the configuration and all that, you will start testing. You will start testing that what you are doing is really working, that is managing the same things. And after that, you will have the possibility to go through the testing with the user. So let's give them a run in a demo or in a testing environment. And after that, when you have run this several times and you are pretty comfortable with what you have, you go live, okay? Next, please. Because when you go live, you usually have to go back. It's really difficult. Let's say half of what we do it good, well, the first time. So usually we need to go back. We have forgot this. We have changed that in the last month or whatever, something in the requirement that was a last minute change, things like that render all the effort invalid. So you have to roll back, come back, and then make the changes and then try again some days or weeks later. No? So we do have some accelerator in this scale. We have one for the assessment, which is probably the biggest one. We go through all the configurations, all the fields, or the workflows, or the roles, or the users. Everything is listed, everything is reviewed, everything is traced to what is used or not used. We just, from there, we identify a lot of definitions which are not really used in the system or no more. Then we have to go and work with the licenses and provide to prepare the Atlassian cloud environment, which is the third part. So when we have the licenses defined, we have to buy them or trial them, and then get the setup for the to be environment, the cloud environment, start preparation. Then we work with the codification of the pre-migration. Then we go to validation. Final migration preparation, final migration. You may see that this looks like many steps just for the same thing, but those steps are needed because you want to avoid errors and rollbacks and coming back and have to do it again. You need to do this several times to be clear, no? In the traditional way of migrating. And at the end, you need to still keep going and keep looking at what is working, what is maybe not working. So maybe you have a 99% success, which is very good, but you still will have something that is not working as planned, and you will have to review or change something, okay? Next one, please. So how do you do this? Well, three ways of doing it. Traditional ways, simplifying. The first one is big bang, okay? We prepare everything. When we have everything done, we just stop, provide, make the migration, run all the scripts, all the programs we have for moving the information to the destination, and start running the processes in the new ones, and then, well, a lot of time and a lot of risk, mainly. And it's very costly, very, very costly. So if you have a big platform to migrate, that's absolutely not recommendable. Okay, if it's big, at least face it. No? So you just split the migration in parts, try to migrate in waves, and team by team, the workflows, the departments that start moving, and then you reduce the cost, but you still have these small phases, smaller than the big one. You still have the same kind of risk. You will have to replan, you have to migrate, test, migrate, test again that is working after the migration, and then come back if it's not working. So better, still not the best one. There's another option which for some customers they are really thinking about it. Next one, please. Yes, why not? You can uh, freeze your system in the old platform and continue using it as a just to research as a consultative information and not use it. And you just start anew from scratch and define everything new. Sometimes it's possible. Even sometimes it's better doing that when you have some information. The starting point is so uh, uh, spaghetti in the processes and in the definitions that sometimes is needed, but it's not. Neither of these three way of doing it are the best one. So next one, please. Those are the problems, no? The hurdles, the concerns we have, the work we have to do with a traditional way of approaching the migrations. And that's why we are here, because Ops Hub opened a new way of doing it, looking at it. It's not just doing big, doing by face, or not doing it, just start anew. We really have some new ways of doing it. So I'm passing the floor to Sandeep so he can explain how Ops Hub here will help with these problems we have here, no? Mainly cost and risk, flexibility a lot, change management. It's really a pain when you have to make a change and you have to go to the beginning and start again. Okay, so Sandeep,
Yep.
that's for you.
Thanks, Francisco. So what I'll walk through is how, by leveraging OpsHub, we are able to improve on the current set of choices for migrating the data, both from things like Jira to Jira, Jira Data Center to Jira Cloud, but also from third-party systems like HPALM or Rally to Jira Cloud. Next slide. So basically, I'll walk through three different approaches to migration. The traditional approach, what Francisco covered, and how that becomes challenging. And then a couple of other approaches depending on the specific collaboration needs of how we can mitigate the risks and the disruptions to make it a seamless process for modernizing your tooling. The next slide. So if we look at the traditional approach, what Francisco talked about, whether it's a big bang approach or a phased approach, essentially, we can do a lot of experimentations, but once we take a download from the source system and configure the migration, we are not going to be able to allow any changes to be made to the source system, because as soon as you take a download, no more changes will be uploaded to the destination system. So at that point, you have to make all the transformations, make all the changes to the data, and then do the uploads, validate it, make sure everything looks good, and then do the people transition. Such, if you're doing a big bang, often it means a very significant downtime between the time the changes were stopped. And especially in a global environment, that may be very large set of people not being able to do any work for a period of time. Uh, Also, if at the last minute there are any additional changes needed or a last minute postponement of the migration is needed, it can be highly expensive and disruptive. People can only start using the migrated data once all the validation and cutover has been completed. So from the time a download was taken of the data in source system to the time they are enabled in the target project, they are not able to do any work. And as a result, when you look at scale, it becomes very expensive because typically teams are distributed. There's no good day or a weekend and no good time zone to plan the cutoff for. So with OpsHub, what we are able to do is we are able to actually do what we call live migration. The core behind it is that you don't need people to stop working in the source system at all. So people can keep working. We can do the migration, do all the validation, do all the changes. If some further transformation changes are needed, we can redo the migration, do everything uh, in parallel with the teams continuing to work in the source system. So there's no downtime. There's no change in process for them while they're waiting for migration. And furthermore, at the last minute, a team can choose to say, look, there's a critical release or uh, some critical event has happened and we can't migrate this weekend. So we can move and change the migration cutover time even at the last minute. So it gives a lot more flexibility. And when you're talking about large number of teams, these exceptional things actually become fairly routine and they are guaranteed to happen. Some team at the last minute will not be able to do the cutover over a given weekend. So they need to be moved to the following wave or phase. So what happens in live migration is we start the migration. It's continuously, OpsHub is continuously propagating the changes to the target system dynamically. So if somebody updates a particular ticket or creates a new ticket, it also gets automatically migrated right away. So one can do all the configuration, transformation, and validation. And only once everything is validated, you can schedule the cutover over a weekend. And typically in this scenario, cutover takes an hour or less. And you also now get the flexibility that if a team at the last minute is not able to cut over for some business reasons, they can delay their cutover to a subsequent cutover period. So this allows very easy modernization for global teams where there may not be any weekend to do the migration work. Next slide. Now, in case of live migration, we are primarily moving data from source to target so that there is continuity of data, there's no downtime. But often there may be cross-team collaboration which is needed. For example, there may be traceability between different work items, or one team needs visibility into what other team is doing, or they may need to collaborate on a particular feature which is decomposed into multiple teams' user stories. So just a one-way moving of the data is not sufficient because if one team has been cut over and some of the other teams they are collaborating with have not cut over, then that could cause a disruption in the collaboration between the teams. So the Live Plus methodology can help with that because with Live Plus, we can also reverse sync the data from the new tool back to the source system. So that way a team which once they cut over to the target system and they start making any changes, any work, that becomes visible to the teams which are still in the legacy tools. So this way there's no disruption in collaboration and the collaboration can continue seamlessly while teams are cutting over and changing from legacy tool to the modern tools. And full traceability is maintained. Next slide. So, the way to think about migration is it's really an opportunity to modernize and create value. You typically have a lot of tech debt accumulated in your legacy tooling, legacy systems, whether it's workflow evolutions, system evolutions, team structure evolutions. So there's a lot of tech debt, which should definitely be a part of consideration in doing the modernization to the new tool. So the typical approach we recommend is do the assessment, rationalize what you want to do, right? Think about what to abandon, what to archive for compliance and other reasons, and what to modernize. And the things you want to modernize, you also want to standardize so you can actually leverage knowledge across different teams and projects. And then do the migration and optimize the team structures as a part of migration and workflows as a part of migration. Right? So this way, you actually get the benefits of modernization right away, rather than a pure lift and shift where you basically bring everything, all the historical tech debt along with you into the modern tool. Next slide. So if you look at it, if by using ops-up approaches to migration, we can eliminate data loss, that some of the challenges which exist with traditional migration or data loss, user adoption, at scale when you're talking about thousands of users. How do you train and educate them? The transformation, the cleaning up to be able to leverage the data. The risk around downtime and the cost of the downtime, right? If a team is down for a week, that has huge cost in terms of productivity and the lost efficiency as a result of that. And finally, even with modernization, you still need to ensure you have all the traceability, all the information needed for satisfying compliance requirements. So with the OPSUB, what you get is you get the high fidelity without any data loss. You get zero downtime, so you can have no disruption, and you can incrementally cut over teams so that you can focus on user adoption in small batches. You can modernize and make sure your data is clean for leveraging in the new tooling with the Gen AI. And you can control the pace at which you migrate, and you have the flexibility to deal with the last minute requirements or changes or delays in cutover. So overall, it gives you much more flexibility and fidelity in terms of being able to migrate and modernize your tooling. Next slide. So to summarize, migration is a complex undertaking, especially migration at large scale is a complex undertaking. We and Nomad Mode can help minimize the disruption and downtime and make migration painless. Thanks for attending the webinar.
Thank you.